How do you purchase? Like, what's your cap stack look like? It percent down, seller financing, uh, owner
Yeah, sure.
financing. Yeah.
So I've never bought one off Biz Buy Sell. The beauty of being in a franchise system is that everything's for sale and none of it's public. So, I create
So in your
relationships.
network of Midas, they're like, hey, so and so from
Even
Pittsburgh,
I
Pennsylvania wants out.
that's happened, but more often than not, I approach them. I create relationships. With the franchise system, you have the contact information of everybody. You know what their sales are. So I'll just call them up and tell them, listen, hey, we're looking to expand in the next 6 to 12 months. If you're interested in selling your stores, please make me the first call.
Yeah.
I've done that multiple times. That's how we've acquired almost every one of our stores, to be honest. And so that's like, if someone wants to grow within a franchise system, it's very easy because you have the book, you have the contact information, you know what their sales are, if they're older. I mean, all these guys are older. I knew like retirement was on the horizon. And then my goal is just to establish a relationship with them and to be known, which is easy, to be liked. And I get liked because I help them with things. So like, I'll say, hey, here's this, compensation plan we've been working with techs, or here's like this advertising plan we've been done. Like, and I would share information
And you're doing a
proactively
podcast. Yeah.
and
So
a
they know you. It's
podcast.
a little
And
bit of celebrity authority. Yeah.
that's right. Yeah. And I've hosted things like this from Midas Corporate. Like like during COVID, I, hosted a Zoom thing with like 75 franchisees just to get on and talk about
Their
best
best
practices.
practices. That's
Or I'd interview a top performing franchisee who was like a friend of mine, and I would ask him a series of questions, just like you're asking me, of like, how'd you get into it, and how do you manage your guys, and how do you do this, and how do you do that, and so then you become like this, this figure of status, and because you're known like nationwide, they all trust you because they see you, and then they like you because you seem like a good person, and reputation gets around. If you screw people over, or you're not a good operator, or you cheat your employees, like God, people talk. Everyone would know that. So once you like can get into a system and you start establishing yourself, and you can take advantage of the infrastructure that's already in place. You go to conferences, you participate in committees, you get together regional guys, maybe you host a Zoom call like I've done. Then you start calling these guys up, and some deals they say, yeah, I've been waiting for you to call me, and we do it. Other ones
funny.
they say, hey, I'm not ready now, but like my daughter's going off to college in like a year, and I just want to get that, I want her in, and then I'll be ready. I'll talk to you. And then sometimes they sell, if hell freezed over, I'd still keep the one location, and then they sell them all. And like, it's funny, but so yeah, and then so that was your kind of first question, how we find them. So I create relationships. Now we're looking outside of the area of Philadelphia, New Jersey is kind of my region. And so, we're looking at other markets, and I'll just get the big list, and I'll just go through it and say, all right, I need like 5 locations to get started. Like, cause I put a district manager in place, right? I can't go one location in Texas or something. I need 5. And so I can pretty easily then go through the whole list and say, all right, who's got 3 and 2, or who's got 5. But if it's all, if one franchise group like myself owns all the ones in, Ohio, like I'm not even going to look in Ohio because there's no chance that I can buy any of those locations, right? Because it's all entangled in another large group. And so then I would just call them up or email them and say, hey, I'm looking to expand across the country, and if you have any interest, we should talk, and say just
Yeah. So if you find, let's say, if you find 5 ready to sell, motivated seller in Texas,
yep,
what's the capital
yep.
stack look like? How do you?
Yep.
Yes.
So the way we've acquired almost all these since is owner financing. And so I've only gone to the bank once. And
How
I've
much
only
owner financing?
almost every deal
Oh,
we've
wow.
done. We paid a couple cash, like, if it's like 150 grand or 120 grand, we just pay those in cash.
Yeah. If
But
you're losing ten
um,
thousand dollars a month, it's like, here's.
yeah, yeah. Even those I've owner financed those too. But yeah. So I mean, the call goes like this. I've done it 100 times, where it's we'll just tell them this is how we buy it, right? So we'll take your P&L, we'll add back all your owner expenses to get what the seller discretionary earnings, or just what cash flow to the owner, or whatever you want to call it, and then we'll take that number, we multiply it by, let's say, like 2.5 to 3 times. And then from there, we structure it. And we structure it based on like 3 numbers, which is down payment, monthly payment, and number of months. And so I find a single store, it's making 100 grand. I'll say, all right, let's say 250. And I would then say, hey, we'll give you, I don't know, I usually just make up numbers, but like $30,000 down, let's say, right? So 250, and then I got minus 30. So I got 220. And then I'll say, hey, we'll pay you $3,000 a month for the next, whatever, 75 months. And so someone would take that up. They say 75 times 3 is whatever, 225 plus the 30. So in total, I'm going to pay them, inclusive of principal and interest, 255,000.
Yeah.
And so then
Over how many years? Yeah.
whatever I choose.
Oh, okay.
Like I just pick a number, right? I've done 13 years, I've done 8 years, I've done, 4 years, I've done, random numbers like 88 months. Like it, because I'm going based off of the 3 numbers: the down payment, the monthly payment, and the number of months. And then we back into the principal and the interest rates and all that stuff for the loans. But what's interesting is if you start it that way, then that's how they negotiate back. And then they'll say, well, I want 50 grand down or 100 grand down, or, I want $4,000 a month, or, oh, I only want $2,000 a month, but I want it over 10 years. But then we negotiate around those 3 numbers, which is money out of my pocket and money into their pocket.
Yeah.
And then later we get into, well, all right, we agree in that in terms. We set the interest rate. By setting the interest rate, you can back into what the principal should be. And then you structure the note.
What interest rate do you look at?
We make up numbers.
Yeah.
So
6, 8,
3, 6. Yeah. 8, 5, I think 6.5 is my highest. I think 2.3917. We just make up a number that gets the payment to what we need it to be. And our goal is to the interest rate as low as possible, which makes more principal. And then of the principal, we want as much of that into asset value.
Sure, because you
depreciate.
You're
right
paying out of the cash flow of the business. So
yeah, and then we can depreciate the assets versus if it's goodwill, we can't depreciate it.
Yeah.
Right. It's amortized over 10 years. And so the seller wants the opposite. So you got to meet somewhere in the middle. But yeah, we normally are in the market rate interest. But it doesn't matter as much because we've already determined what the payment is. So the interest is just kind of more for an accounting purpose than anything else.
Yeah, they can deduct it. Yeah.
But it simplifies the conversation rather than upfront negotiating the value, the down payment, and the interest rate.
So you're not going for any financing aside from seller financing outside.
Yeah. Yeah. And so
does the franchise offer that? Say, hey, we want you to buy this?
They offer what?
Financing. We want you to buy these franchises because they're not performing well. Yeah.
They've brought me deals, sure.
Yeah.
They don't finance it, but they'll if they hear somebody wants to sell and it's in our territory, even if it's not, if it's a larger group, they bring us deals because we're the easy button. They know we can get the deals done. They know we're good people. They know we take care of our employees and we grow sales. And that's once you become the easy button, you get more work, you get more deals to do, as long as you can execute.